Those who survived the bombings are known as hibakusha in Japanese. The nuclear radiation released by the bombs caused thousands of more deaths from radiation sickness in the weeks, months, and years that followed.
という血管の病気は今まではね、ないと考えられてたんですよ。
Until now, it was believed that there was no link between radiation exposure and blood vessel-related illnesses. However, as the atomic survivors grew older over the past 10 years, many of them started to develop cardiac infarction and angina. Our study shows a clear link between the amount of radiation exposure 70 years ago and the illnesses related to blood vessels.
被爆線量との関係がね、かなりはっきり出たんですね。
The casualties from the first atomic bombings are not of mere historical interest. They are a part of how we understand the effects of nuclear weapons today. But where was the first atomic bomb built? And why did the US choose to drop the bomb on Hiroshima? Let's find out. Much before the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, a group of American scientists, many of them refugees from Europe, became concerned with nuclear weapons research being conducted in Germany in 1940. The US government began funding its own atomic weapons development program, which came under the joint responsibility of the Office of Scientific Research and Development and the War Department. Then, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was tasked with the work of spearheading the construction of the vast facilities necessary for a top-secret program called the Manhattan Project. So, what was the Manhattan Project? Manhattan Project was the code name for the American-led effort to develop a functional atomic weapon during World War II. The eventual use of the atomic bomb engaged some of the world's leading scientific minds, as well as the US military, and most of the work was done in Los Alamos, New Mexico. The agencies leading up to the Manhattan Project were first formed in 1939 by the then President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The United States was a neutral country at the time and did not engage directly with any country involved in World War II. But a surprise attack by Japanese forces turned the tables. On the 7th of December in 1941, hundreds of Japanese fighter planes descended on Pearl Harbor, a U.S. naval base near Honolulu, Hawaii. The Japanese forces damaged nearly 20 American naval vessels, including 8 battleships and over 300 airplanes. More than 2,400 Americans, including civilians, died in the attack, and another 1,000 were wounded. The Japanese targeted the United States Pacific Fleet in order to stop Washington from interfering with Tokyo's planned military actions in Southeast Asia. Many experts believe Pearl Harbor marked the formal opening of a struggle between Japan and the English-speaking maritime states of the West for hegemony in the Western Pacific region. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt declared that the U.S. would enter World War II and align with Great Britain, France, and the Soviet Union to fight against the Germans in Europe and the Japanese in the Pacific theater.